Hey folks, Drunken Homemaker here, and today I'm going to be doing another top 5 plants for the month of June? I don't even know what day it is anymore. Month, year, I don't know. So welcome if this is your first time visiting my channel. Welcome back if you are a regular viewer, and thank you for coming back. If you have seen my videos before but you have not clicked that subscribe button, make sure you click it right now so that you can see when I post videos. So the first plant that I want to talk about today is this palm. I'm going to talk about this palm. Now, this just seems like a regular, ordinary little palm. It's a parlor palm, by the way, not a palm, but I'm from Brooklyn, so I have to do that. The reason that I want to talk about this parlor palm, or Bella, I believe it's called Bella palm also, is because I took care of this plant. It used to be my mom's plant. I took care of this plant when it was about this size. It was a little teeny tiny. It was a little teeny tiny baby. And my mom had it somewhere where it wasn't getting a lot of light. And I transplanted it to this pot when she went away and I was taking care of her plants. I moved around a bunch of her plants. I know that's so rude, but also she was killing her plants, so I had to do it to save the plants. So I moved it into a pot that gave it drainage, and I made sure to move it closer to the window. And look at it. It was so small when I first started taking care of it, and now it's so big and happy. And I have a dream of taking this parlor palm like all the way to its full potential size. Like, I have a dream of just having it forever. And I know people have struggled with like spider mites on them and that they are very finicky. I have not had any issues with this parlor palm, knock on wood. It's always looked really, really nice for me ever since I replaced it. Anytime that I get browning on the leaves or a leaf doesn't look good, I just cut it back. These don't propagate the way that other plants do. Usually you can propagate from a cutting. You can't really propagate this from a cutting. You have to divide this plant. So I do have this dream of taking this plant all the way to its full size someday. I don't know how many years that'll take, but I think I want to say that I transplanted this plant maybe about a year ago when my mom was out of town. And then when she got back, she loved the way it looked, and then she told me to take it because she was like, you're the one that fixed it, so you should have it. And you have more, I have more light than she does in her apartment currently. So it's in a window that receives bright indirect light, and it seems to like it there. It could probably do with a little more light, but right now it's doing so pretty. And I love this pot that it was in. My mom claims that I'm the one that gave it to her originally and that we've been trading back and forth. But you can see sort of like this beautiful countryside mountain type scape with horses. I love it. It's really, really cute. So that's the first plant, my palm. The second plant is actually going to double as my struggle bus plant that I talked about. Usually at the end of these videos, I talk about a plant that's struggling. A few weeks ago for my quarantine check-in, talking to my plants video, I repotted this plant and it was struggling. I actually cut off a lot of its leaves because it very clearly had spider mites. And so I cut off a lot of the really affected leaves, and I sprayed it with neem oil, with a diluted form of neem oil. If you are curious to see how I treat my plants with neem oil, please click the link over here. Okay, I can actually move over here. Here we go. This is my money plant that was in my quarantine video that was infected horribly with spider mites. I posted a picture on Instagram about its baby leaves that were popping out. Here she is, not but a week later. She's doing great. It's been a few weeks since I cut her back. I treated her with neem oil, and then I repotted her in that pot. So I will make sure to link that video also where I did all of these changes. So this is what it looks like. You can see the affected leaves down here. I did cut off the ones that were really, really struggling, that had gotten mostly chewed and eaten and were pretty much decimated and weren't going to support, life anymore. And all of this, basically from here on up, is new leaves. And they're pretty. Look at them. A few weeks ago, this plant was throwing shade at my financial situation, and now it is saying, you go girl, you get that money. Speaking of which, my channel got monetized, so that might be why it's turning around and it's looking good. It's looking up, right? So thank you if you subscribed and helped me get my channel monetized or watch my videos. So yeah, so this is doing great. I'm so happy with how this is looking. This is my money plant that was very much struggling a few weeks ago and is very much doing well, much like myself. Our plants are here to teach us a lesson about being human and telling us, hey, sometimes you struggle. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to be affected by your environment. It's okay to have bad days. But that doesn't mean that every day is going to be a bad day. Look at me now, girl. Look at me now. The next one I'm going to talk about is going to be my rubber plant that I took cuttings of in my rubber plant propagation video. Now I want to address this in this video because propagating rubber plants is kind of a nightmare. They are not impossible to propagate. They are just very particular about how they want to be propagated. So in my rubber plant propagation video, I talked about doing water propagation, which I've done in the past successfully. This round was an epic failure. My water propagation cuttings they were not happy. I have since learned a lot about what to do to properly propagate your rubber plants. And I will probably be doing another update video just talking about tips and tricks. What I've learned from you folks in the comments, because a lot of you chimed in on, just advice and tips on, hey, maybe don't do that, maybe don't do this. And I feel like I have a much better understanding, but also Ficus is particularly difficult to propagate. So I will link my rubber plant propagation video here. In a few seconds, I will link the update video because I think it's important to talk about what we learn from the process. And a lot of times when you see my propagation videos, it's me experimenting. It's me seeing how far I can push things, what works, what doesn't work, right? And I do think that there's a lot of information out there on how to propagate, but a lot of it is not tried and true, right? So that's what I strive to do. I don't want you to think that I'm coming at it with like, look at all the answers I have. It's definitely not my attitude about it. I think I'm very much learning as I go. So that being said, this is Mama Plant that I took propagation from on December 11th. Today when I am shooting this video, it is May 29th. So here she is, almost 6 months later. I have a Lazy Susan. Why am I turning it manually? That's silly. So originally it was in a really, really big pot too. And it was a really big plant. So it kind of made sense because the root system had to support a lot of leaves. I have since transplanted it into this because it's a much smaller plant now. It doesn't have to support that many leaves. The root system doesn't have to support that many leaves. And I didn't particularly like the way it looked in that giant thing. It was doing fine, but I just decided that I wanted it to be in a smaller pot. And specifically, I wanted it to be in this pot. And I know somebody mentioned before, they saw me taking a plant that was struggling out of this pot and they said, ooh, copper's not great for plants. That's probably why it's struggling. This is actually a plastic pot that looks like it's copper, but how gorgeous is that? It's gorgeous. I'm so basic. I love copper everything, rose gold everything, basic. She is thriving. She's doing really well. She's in my daughter's room right now. So she's getting plenty of sunlight. My daughter happens to have the brightest room in the house. So she really is getting the most light that she can possibly stomach. So the next plant that I'm going to talk about is a plant that I think people have a lot of mixed feelings about. I know where I stand on this plant and I love her. Okay, let's talk about it. This is my ZZ plant. Whomst I love, in her little white pot. And then my friend gave me this. Do we love her? Is she me? She's me. She has a flamingo and she's holding plants. My friend got this and was like, this is you. You need to have this. And so I put it in this plant because this is like one of my favorite plants. I love ZZ plants. They hit every specific thing that I love about plants. They look like they're fake. They don't look like a real plant. They have that the new growth on it has chartreuse green leaves. I do eventually want to get a Raven ZZ, but that's not high on the priority list right now. This plant was at my job, and it was, I mean, in the last few months, it's just been new leaf, new leaf, new leaf, new leaf, new leaf. I do feel like it grows mostly in the winter time, which I'm okay with because I feel like I need this type of excitement in the wintertime. I bought her, I want to say about 2 years ago. I know that she was a part of my spring plant tour that's hella old, that I will make sure to link up here. You could tell she was brand spanking new in that video. She was not nearly as big and gorgeous as she is. This is another one that I just want to take and just keep repotting bigger and bigger. They like to be root bound. Do not repot this plant unless she is asking to be repotted. Like, it should be just root in there, really. So she's actually doing fine. Her root system's pretty healthy. I'm not going to be repotting her anytime soon. And clearly she's very, very happy with her situation. So this is just one of those plants that I can't wait to see how big I can get her. This plant just brings me so much joy. I just absolutely love it. So for the next one, I'm going to have to zoom you out. I bought this plant possibly 2 years ago. It is doing so well. I did try to propagate this plant in the past and failed miserably. It is part of the Ficus family, so it does not propagate as easily as maybe monsteras or philodendrons do, or pothos or anything like that. I'm finding more and more that Ficus is very, very particular about how it enjoys to be propagated. So I am going to try to propagate this plant this year, because when you see it, you will understand why it needs to be propagated. I will try it first. I will experiment for you. But here I wanted to document where this plant is today, and I'm going to have to zoom you out for that. So this is my Fiddle fig. That's how tall she is. She was really big in the video, the same video, that spring plant tour video that I told you about earlier. But then I propagated her. I got 0.00 cuttings out of her because she did not take well to the water propagation that I was trying. Supposedly with ficus plants, either soil propagation or air layering is really the best way to go. So you will be seeing an upcoming video where I try to both air layer and soil propagate this beauty. Look at her. She's doing great. She's so beautiful that I'm almost like scared to propagate her, but I have to set an example. I feel like there's a lot of people that are really scared to propagate their plants. They're worried that they're going to hurt their plants. This plant is like you saw with the rubber plant. The ficuses are hard to kill in terms of cutting them back and propagating them. Like that's not what's going to kill them. It's the cuttings that you have to worry about. It's the amount of light that they're getting. They require a lot of light. They require fertilization. They require consistent watering. But you chop this girl back, she's gonna be fine. She's great. So she's chilling. So I am gonna try to propagate this plant eventually. Wish me luck. Okay, so that's that on that. Wow. Ow. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 plants for June 2020. These are the plants that are bringing me so much joy right now, and I'm just so happy and enamored with them. So yeah, let me know which one of these plants you have in your collection, and let me know. I know that this is like weird inviting, you know, we're not going to be negative, but we're going to definitely, it's okay to say, hey, that plant isn't really my cup of tea, or this plant is my favorite that you have. I'm a pretty much an equal opportunity plant lover, with the exception of fussy plants. I don't like fussy plants. So you can see that I really do have a lot of different plants. I really love a lot of different plants, but the fussy ones, I don't want no drama. That's how I feel about that. Okay. So thank you so much for watching this video. Click like if you like content like this. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified when I upload. As always, thank you for coming on this journey with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.